I mean, don't you think it's a little bit amazing that all people come at the same time? I mean, the traveling period for Westerners is between November and February, but all come, at the end of the year or at the beginning of the new year. So that's why it's so crowded. The one thing as a precaution, I mean, we here in the monastery don't think that things are not stolen. Take care of your valuables. We cannot control the people who can come in, and it's mostly in the morning. So lock up your things and don't display them openly. I mean, don't give the opportunity to thief. If you hide your things or if you lock them up, that's fine. Also your telephone, don't leave it there. I just saw it and I just wanted to remind you. Because, thieves take the opportunity in large gatherings, just to collect the things that they need. So don't give them the opportunity. I mean, not everybody who comes to a monastery has a straightforward manner or keeps the 5 sila. Just a reminder. You have to be responsible, take care of your own possessions. You don't take any responsibilities, but you save. And if there's normally a large gathering of people, then they are all warned in the beginning. I mean, pickpocketing, is a great, especially if there are lots of people and there are lots of generous people, pickpocketing can be very successful. And that's why some of the people just come to places like that where there is crowds. Just as a reminder, don't display your things, your valuables open or leave them openly in your kuti when you go to the meal, because that's the only time after midday. There is nobody here, that comes in unwanted or unseen. But in the morning, we just cannot control. Sometimes there are 1,000 people, sometimes there are 50,000 people. Huh?
No, I'm getting worried.
No, you don't have to get worried, just take care of it. Just don't display them openly, just don't make opportunity for thieves. I mean, then normally do not go. But now especially on the 8th or on the 9th, there will be a big occasion where lots of people are coming. But there's also lots of police as well. The princess is coming and Penasa Mahaprabhu gives 650 kilograms, I think, to the state. So there will be crowds of people. And they're probably starting, what is today, the 6th, right? They're probably starting. So we have a saying in English or in German or whatever. When in Rome, do as Rome. That means when you come to a monastery, just behave, take up the rules that are in this monastery. Monks in the Buddhist tradition follow the vow of celibacy. That means women who come to the monastery should respect that. And do not dress openly. I mean, do not reveal their sexual souls. That means that's why women should, when they come into a monastery, it's the same thing for men, they shouldn't reveal, they shouldn't walk around, with no shirt on. Same thing. I mean, we're living in a place where celibacy is, so we should take care of it. Monks have very strict, or Buddhist monks have very strict rules. They are not allowed to touch women. If they touch women intentionally, then they have to undergo a penalty of 10 days, at least 10 days. If they speak alone with a woman, they have to undergo the same penalty of 10 days. And if they happen to be overcome by their desires, and they interact with a woman sexually, they are defeated. They have to take off the robes and cannot be ordained in this life again. It's very strict about sexuality in Buddhism. The Lord Buddha doesn't allow anything at all in the way of interaction between male and female. And he wants to put a very, very strong guard. That's why there are high penalties, just for luring girls. And just for, being alone with a woman unseen in an unseen area. It's not proper. So maybe, I hope you understand that, especially when you come from the West. We have the vow of celibacy. When we are caught having sexual intercourse with a woman, we are defeated. Even only if the penis just touches the vagina. That's enough. That's the end of a month. And not only that, he cannot be ordained again, but he goes to hell for a long, long time. Yes. Whenever there are 40 feet for a month, whenever he does one of the defeats, he goes to hell for a long, long time. I mean, you have the 5 precepts. The lay people have the 5 precepts. And they know if they go against these 5 precepts, they go to hell. But if a monk does the same thing as a lay person, the penalty is 10 times to 100 times bigger. Because he lives the life depending on the lay people. Whatever he needs, whatever he gets, is from the lay people. That's why the penalty is so high.
And it's from where you know this. Why you know? Who tells this? You know this or you heard this?
I know it, of course, from my own venerable teacher, and it's also written in the suttas. So you find it, find some sort of comments about it in the sutta, and you hear it from Kanachana. So that's why a monk in a Buddhist tradition has to be very extremely careful what he is doing. One of the defeat is stealing, just taking things from other people that belong to other people. He is defeated. The other thing, killing a human being, that's of course, that's very logical. Or ordering somebody else to kill a person for him. Then another defeat, of course, that's what I mentioned before, the sexual intercourse. And another one is claiming to have supernatural powers, or claiming that he has attained a certain stage of liberation, but actually known he has not. That's a defeat. He has to be kicked out of the monk's order. But if he believes it, if he truly believes it, that he has supernatural powers or that he is at this stage, then he is not kicked out.
He's not.
No. If he really believes it. But if he tells a lie, then he is kicked out. And he has to face the penalty of hell. In all cases. He cannot be reordained in this life. And some of the Thai monks have been, dragged out of the ropes because they didn't want to admit their defeat. That's why that's the only purpose of the Sangha, of the head of the Sangha in Thailand. To look that the monks behave properly. And if they see or if they hear of a case, then they go, investigate the case, of course ask the monk in question, and then disrobe him. There has been there quite a few cases in the last 15 years that I've been. So that's just for information. So we don't live an easy life, The moment we want to get in touch with the world, or the moment we want to do things as a monk that are worldly nature, we have to be extremely, extremely careful. It's not like lay people, because all our life depends on the lay people. Whatever we have, whatever we possess, whatever we eat, whatever we wear, is all coming from the lay people, all from the generosity of the lay people. So we have the responsibility of using this generosity for our own personal growth in the spiritual way. If you don't use it, you make big mistakes. Just this for information. I wonder what is happening to this Catholic priests and nuns that buried their children or they killed their infants. They have found a lot of monasteries in southern France, where they found a lot of skeletons of babies. And there was a tunnel between a nunnery and a monastery. So I just wonder what happens to these monks, because they also, both the nuns and the monks, vote for celibacy. I mean, if you go to a Thai monastery, female monastery, it's the same thing. I mean, a woman cannot talk to a man alone. Just the same thing. More than 6 sentences is not allowed. Touching a man is not allowed. So the same thing holds true for the females. No? Not that they have something special privileges. No, different. And some of the female monasteries in Thailand are guarded by really watchdogs. Because the Thais like to jump over, and then go. Some of them, the nuns are very beautiful. Like to go over, and go into the kuti. So the achans, the female achans of these monasteries, have good barking dogs and the watchdogs to keep the laity off. Now we come here. We come here out of the most different reasons. I just talked yesterday with Fabio, and then, it's very unusual, to come in this way. I mean, not having any idea about Buddhism and just popping up in the monastery. I mean, that's quite interesting. And I mean, the same thing, Kai, he said, I was guided by my angels, Not having any touch, not having any idea about what is Buddhism really. Just hearing the word Buddhism in the West and then coming here. And it's quite interesting. And I found these people much more interesting than the people who meditate for 20 years. Why? Because they're open-minded. They have no idea about what is this all about. So when they plunge in, when they are taught in the proper way that leads to results, they just plunge in, and get most of the time that I realized, teaching just for the last 7 years, I found these people, being extremely fast, getting extremely fast results. People who have meditated for 15 or 20 years in the various different traditions of Buddhism, even after 3 months, they don't get any results. Because they're constantly in battle with their views and opinions how meditation should be done and not done. So people who are completely new. Okay, come. You're also from Malaysia, or? Okay, that's it. Did he come with you? Yeah, okay. So these people, just take the opportunity, just have an open mind, and plunging. I mean, that the only problem is the moment you do some other meditation, the moment you do meditation for calm, it's your thoughts and your opinions and views. When you come here and especially come from a different background of meditation experiences or meditation centers or different monasteries, you come here and have an expectation of how this should be and how this everything, should be run and so on. And then your expectations are not met. So, if our expectations are not met, we will meet dukkha. And this dukkha is driving us from one place to the next place. Because our expectation, this should be here, this is good about here and that is bad about here. And then we go to the next place. That's a meditation center. Okay, this is good about the meditation center, but that is not perfect. And then we go to the next place. And always, wherever we go, we find something that is not perfect. So the rest of our lives we are running around to fight for the perfect place. And in the end, we have realized that we wasted 20 years of our precious life. Because wherever we go, it's never perfect. Why? Because we are not perfect. That's a simple reason. Because we have views and opinions how things should be. And that's why it's not perfect. And we will never find any place in the whole world that is perfect. Because we are not. We are not at peace with the situation. We are not at peace with ourselves. So wherever we go, and wherever there is a place of meditation, we can find peace within ourselves. And then it becomes perfect. Then no matter what, it becomes perfect. Because peace arises in our heart. Perfectness arises in our own citta. Nowhere else. Problems always arise in our minds, in our thoughts, in our views and our opinions, in our expectations. And that's where dukkha comes in. I mean, the Lord Buddha, answered the Venerable Ananda the same thing. He said, because they came to a town and then they were greeted as camel heads and beggars and things like that. And so the Venerable Ananda said to the Lord Buddha, we can't accept this, Lord Buddha, just let's go to another town where they don't call us these bad names. And then the Lord Buddha told him, and what happens if in the next town they call us the same name? Where do you go then? Then go to another town. And when that happens in the next town, where do we go? In the end, we don't have any place to go. That was the reply of the Lord Buddha to the Venerable Ananda when something is not perfect. I mean, we have to stick with these things. If we want to learn something, then we can learn it right here within our own citta. And of course, this place is not perfect. It was a little bit better 10 years ago, but we still can learn. We can still learn the basic technique. How to get calm, and the basic technique, how to get rid of the kilesas that constantly trouble us, that constantly make us, that constantly produce the dukkha in our heart. That's what we have to learn. I mean, and I promise you, it's not easy. I mean, getting calm is not easy yet. I mean, getting in a state of upachara samadhi. All what we have to do is to focus on one point. Just one point. I mean, either we observe the breath and do anapanasati, that means concentration on the tip of the nose. That's it. And observing the breath coming in and going in. Not following the breath. Not putting our concentration, and follow the breath inside and outside or inside and outside, or putting our concentration on any point else. The tip of the nose is that where the feeling of the breath coming in and breath going out the strongest. That's where we should put our concentration on. And then we should observe the breath coming in and coming out. That's all what we have to do to get into upachara samadhi or to go into appana samadhi. Nothing more. But our mind doesn't leave us a rest, After 2 seconds, it will jump onto any kind of thoughts or any kind of ideas or any kind of memories. And then we are gone. We don't do our meditation. The moment we realize, we put our attention back to the breath at the tip of the nose. Or there's another method that we can do if we think a lot. If our thinking just won't stop, we can do the mental repetition of the word Buddha. If you think a lot, we can make Buddha very fast. If the mind gets calm, the Buddha gets slower automatically. You can also use Dhamma. Buddha stays for the teacher who gave us the path to liberation. He's the only one who found that path for himself. Don't underestimate that. Never ever underestimate the teachings of the Lord Buddha. Never ever think that you are cleverer than the Lord. That this does not need to be done or that does not need to be done because the times have changed. Of course the times have changed, but the kilesas have not changed. And the Lord Buddha was only addressing the kilesas, not the times. So the times have changed, but the kilesas are still working with the same tactics. So nothing that the Lord Buddha said, is out of date. Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. Everything is just perfect if you want to have a battle against the kilesas, if you want to have a battle against avijja. That's all. It's perfect 2,500 years ago until today. That's why the forest tradition doesn't change any of the rules that the Lord Buddha laid out. Nothing. Nothing is changed. Nothing is alleviated. It's just practiced just the same way as 2,500 years ago. And that's why the forest tradition here in Thailand is so successful. And it is successful. Just look at within the last 60 years, look at the number of arahants, people who are completely liberated, emanated from this tradition. When you do a conservative measurement, it's 60 arahants coming from this tradition of Lumpuma. 60 years. Since Lumpuma. Conservative number is 60. They're just building a big shady south of Bangkok, where they put all the relics of each of these arahants in there. And there's about 60 temples. If you're not conservative, you can think about 100. Because some of the arahants never get out of the forest. So you just know them when we go. So this tradition is still working. 2,500 years ago, 2,500 years, the same teaching, and it's still working. It's still effective against the kilesa. It's still effective against the avijja that produces all the trouble. So there's no need to change. That's why the forest tradition does not change anything. It's still the same way. It's still practice samadhi. It's still practicing the fourth noble truth, that is sila, samadhi, and dhamma. Sila, 5 precepts for the monks, the 227 rules. For others, for mechis, 8 rules or 10 rules, whatever they want to take up on that. That's enough. That's sila. When you're here in the monastery, you expect to keep at least the 5 precepts. More or less the 8 precepts are appreciated, but that is up to you. That is sila. Samadhi. What is samadhi? I just talked about it. Just concentrating on one point. So where's the difficulty? Are we not the masters of our mind? Can we not just keep our concentration on one point? Or are you just slave? Slave of the power of avijja. Ask yourself. See it for yourself. Who is the master in your heart? Who is the master in your chitta? And we can see it very easily, don't we? We cannot concentrate, on the same object more than 5 minutes. I mean, if we are good, we can concentrate for 5 minutes before a thought comes and carries us away. Or before a memory comes and carries us away. I mean, we sit down, we want to sit down for 3 hours, and after half an hour we get up. Because we can't bear the pain. Interesting. So we are not really the master of our chitta. There's some other force within us. Isn't there? Just like Goethe said, there are 2 souls habitating my chest. The soul of light and the soul of darkness. Oh. And that's the same thing. Tanaja Mahaprabhu says there are two powers or 2 forces within our heart. One force is the force of Dhamma, and the other force is the force of avijja. And every one of these forces wants to sit on the throne who controls the body and mind. And if Dhamma is in charge, then we can focus on the Buddha. If avijja is in charge, then we can't focus. Then our mind goes astray. That's very easy to determine what is the kilesas and not. Just need to, just determine for the next hour, I want to concentrate. And then you see how long avijja waits in the background until it snaps you out. Until it persuades you not to do the Buddha, or not to keep your concentration on the Buddha. Isn't that interesting? All our life, or a lot of people in this world, fight for freedom. All over the world, they fight for freedom, not caring about their own life, not caring about their health. But it's only for bodily freedom. We sit down for 5 minutes, and we lose the fight. Interesting. We never think about it in this way. That's why I paint it out, that's why I explain it. We always think, that's me. But what is me? What is myself? What did the Lord Buddha teach us? This is not me, this does not belong to me, this is not myself. And what is he referring to? He's referring to, of course, to the 5 khandhas. And what are the 5 khandhas? That's the khandha of the body. So that is not me, that doesn't belong to me, this is not myself. With the body, of course, comes the 6 senses. The senses of seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, tasting, and thinking. That's not me, that doesn't belong to me, this is not myself. The Lord Buddha teaches us this. The next group, or the next khandha, is the khandha of Vedana, feeling. Feeling can be 2 categories, can be 2 groups. It can be the bodily feeling or it can be mental feeling. And feeling itself can be either of 3 kinds. Can be unpleasant, can be pleasant, or can be neutral. That's it. That's another group. That's the second group. Also, this group doesn't belong to us. That's not me, that's not mine, that is not myself. That doesn't belong to me. The next group is the group of memory. How many memories do we have? Huh? Lots and lots. The older we get, the more we have. And not only memories, association. That means labels. When I see what is a label? When I see a tree and I call it a tree, that's a label. It's also memory function. Once your mind gets very calm, you see it how it works. You see, there's a sense input, and then the memory is looked up, and then suddenly the label appears. Tree, person, woman, maid, animal. But it's so fast that we can't catch it. You don't see how it works. That's a problem. That's why we call it blind. We are blind people because we don't see what is happening. Lord Buddha teaches us. Open your eyes and see for yourself. Open your eyes, but not our outer eyes. With our outer eyes we hardly see anything. Open your inner eyes. And what is our inner eyes? Our inner eyes are experience. Experience the things as they are. That's it. And then we see, and then we understand. I mean, if you're new, if we've never seen fire, and we look at it, we see it with our eyes, but we still don't know what it's doing. So we put our hand into the fire, and you do that only once. Never again. Not because somebody told you the fire is burning or you burn your hand, because that doesn't mean anything to you. But because of the experience, of feeling it, of experiencing it. That is the inner side. That's the inner eye. That kind of experience we are after. Not the mental kind of knowledge. Wisdom is not created in our mind or in our brain. Wisdom is created in the heart that sees the true nature. And that comes through experience. That comes through observation. That's how wisdom arises. That's why we call it insight. Seeing inside. Seeing inside right here. In German it's Einsicht. Einsehen. Not seeing outside, what we normally do. Seeing inside. What is happening right here within our chitta. But of course this is not easy because all our life we have been educated to look outside, haven't we? We have to look, if we don't understand something, then we ask somebody or we look it up in a book or now we Google it. Look it up on the internet and we find everything there. It's amazing what we can find when we Google the web. All kinds of information, that were normally, very tedious to get, you had to go to a library. But that is always seeing outside. It's not seeing inside. So feeling is the second group. Memory and association is the third group. The fourth group is thinking. I mean, our thoughts doesn't belong to us. Most of the thoughts that we, that cross our mind, we don't even invite them. They just come by themselves. We don't invite, there are hardly any thoughts that we invite. Most of the thoughts, just are churned out, like a fire. Coming, constantly coming, We didn't invite them. So they don't belong to us. That's not me, that's not mine. The Lord Buddha teaches us that. And the last thing is consciousness. What is consciousness? That's the last group. Consciousness is just being conscious or just being aware that anything came into the senses, into the field of the senses, not yet knowing what it is. You just know something has made contact with the senses. That's consciousness. Then memory is used and thought is used to identify the object of the senses. I mean, from my point of view, it's so very easy. It is so logical how things work. You open a watch and you see how the wheels, go into inside. And as long as you see the wheels turning, there's no meaning to it. The moment you close the watch, suddenly you have pointers. And then they tell you the time. Then they tell you the time of 1 hour, or yesterday, or tomorrow. Suddenly, all the meaning comes into play. Before that, you open the watch, you just see the wheels and there's no meaning in it. Just, each one grabbing into the other, moving one along, moving one along, moving one along. You close the watch, and you are suddenly 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Oh, just 1 hour passed by. That is also seeing inside, opening up the clock and seeing what is happening right there. Not looking at the meaning, not looking at our association, not looking at the views and opinions we have about what is going on. Just seeing what is going on. So very simple. And the Lord Buddha teaches, that's all that makes us. What we think makes us. These 5 groups in combination. Turning in, grabbing each other, promoting each other, triggering each other. That's all what is happening inside us. And we call that me. We call that Franz or Fabio or whatever. Isn't it? But who is the one who knows that there is a thought coming in? Who is the one who knows that a feeling is coming in? Who is the one who knows that there is a memory coming in? Huh? Who is it who knows about these things? Who is the one who observes it? Who is the one who observes the arm here in front of her? Who is the one who knows that the arm moves? Does the arm know that it moves? Does the eye know that this is an arm? Does the ear know this is a chicken? Huh? So who is the one who knows? It's a chitta. That's the only thing that knows. That's the only thing that can observe that there's a memory coming in and a memory going out. That the breath is coming in and the breath is coming out. So listen very carefully. Now you understand why we observe the breath coming in and coming out. Because we want to go. We want to find the path to this knowingness. To our true chitta. To the true thing that is hiding underneath all these pointers, all this time that we see. The watch, the meaning that we see. The chitta that is knowing. So when we stay on our object of meditation, for the samatha meditation, that's the only thing that I explained today. Investigation I explain next time. We stay on one point, be it the Buddha, the Dhamma or the Sangha, or be it the breath coming in and breath going out. We know that the breath is short, we know that the breath is long, we know that the breath is deep, or we know that the breath is shallow. We know that the Buddha is fast, or we know that the Buddha is slow. We know that the Buddha is deep, we know that the Buddha is shallow. That will lead us to the knowingness of our chitta. And the more we get concentrated, the more we recite, the more we find the path to the chitta. So then it seems when we get utterly or very, very concentrated, that actually feels like our point of concentration drops down to the chitta, to the heart. It's not the physical heart. When I talk about heart, it's the chitta. The chitta is just very close, very, very close to the heart, the physical heart. It's just in the center.
I wonder, I don't know how chitta relates to the five khandhas. I think all what exists.
Let me finish it and just keep your question to the end. Just refer, at the moment, just refer to the chitta as knowingness, or the observer. I mean, the moment you make meditation, you will see that somebody knows about a thought coming in, knows about something, a memory coming in, knows about the feeling has arisen, knows about the feeling has ceased, knows about that the feeling is pleasant, knows about that the feeling is unpleasant. To this knowingness we want to go. And the path of samatha meditation or concentration on one point will lead us there. So what happens is, if we do it, if we continue to do our Buddha or Anapanasati, I mean the mind gets quieter and quieter. Each time the mind goes out, we take it at its tail, bring it back to the object. Bring it back to the object. Bring it back to the Buddha or bring it back to the breath. We don't want to know where it went, we just know it went out. For a straw, we grab it at its tail and put it back on the object. And if we do that long enough, the mind gets calm and concentrated. And if we continue to do it, then suddenly thinking and memory ceases. There is no thought anymore coming in. And there is no memory coming in disturbing. So we have crossed the border from our world to the world of experience. And that is called Upachara Samadhi. Access Samadhi. It's a world without worries. It's a world without thoughts. It's a world without memories. It's just a world of complete experience. It's a world that we find completely pleasant. Some people get so happy, that the tears, running through their eyes the first time they get into it. This can happen. It's called piti in Pali. Joy, extreme joy, rapture. Other people just feel happy. Other people just feel calm. Other people just feel peaceful. It depends on the character of each person, how he feels. But thought has stopped. Memory has stopped. And that is at least the thing that is necessary for us to rest our mind. I mean, you rest your body every day. You go to sleep every day. Why? Why do you go to sleep, To rest the body. So, when have we taken our mind to sleep for the last time? When did it really happen to sleep for the last time? Never. Since we were born, we were thinking. I mean, so how, just think about, having 3 days or 4 days no sleep, how restless the mind must be. And that's exactly what you experience when you do your Buddha meditation. The restlessness of the mind, who has never got asleep, who has never got a rest. So it is elementary for our practice to reach at least that state of samadhi, what is called upachara samadhi. To be in a world that is safe. And there we know there are no worries, there are no fears, there are no doubts. Nothing of that exists. Because doubts, fear, worries come only through thoughts and memories. That's interesting. It's interesting for us to realize it, but first of all we have to transgress to this state, or transgress into this state. And that, of course, I don't say it's easy, but we can do it. I was able to do it, so why shouldn't you be able to do it? I mean, I know how long it took me. I had to hammer for 1 year, to get my mind calm. But I was not willing to let it go out. I was just not willing to. I was determined not to let the mind go out. The moment I caught it getting out, I just put it back. And sometimes I hammered it, And sometimes I just let it go. Depending on the state of the mind. This, at least, if we want to get some peacefulness and happiness, and everybody of us looks for peacefulness and happiness, that's a state where you can get it for free. You don't have to pay a dime. I mean, think about all the money that you waste, for getting happiness in the world. You go on the merry rounds, or, you go to the Disney World, or whatever, Or, just to the beach. But are you really happy there? I mean, just for a moment, yeah. I mean, you're happy as long as the sun is warm, and then when the sun becomes too hot, you're unhappy, so you have to jump into the water to cool yourself off. And then you're too cold, you have to go back into the sun. That's what you call happiness. That's what you call fun. That's what you call joy. I mean, the happiness arises within our heart, not in the sun or not in the cold water. Does it? If happiness arises in cold water, then why don't we stay for the rest of our lives in the cold water? Or why don't we stay for the rest of our lives in the hot sun? Or why don't we stay in this country for the rest of our lives if happiness arises with us? Or, just asking in the modern times, why don't we stay with this partner for the rest of our lives if our happiness arises with this partner? Why do we have to change partners? Because we get bored. Very easy, we get bored, after a while, we know him, it's boring. Get a new one, we don't know him yet. I mean, it's not, I know my generation, and I know myself. So, I'm talking also from my own experience, the way I acted because I was blinded. And because everybody around acted me just in the same way. Okay, let's get rid of him, because he's boring, he's not fulfilling me, or he's problems. He's problematic. Okay, get a new one. And then after a while you find it's the same thing. And after 15 or 20 times, I ask myself, it cannot be always this. It cannot always be the woman, who's a problem. The problem must be within yourself. And from that time on, I started to look within myself. And then I found all the problems. And then I cured the problems and there were no problems anymore. So if you want to change the world, change yourself. If you think this is not working out, then change yourself. That it works out. And you will find nothing. In the end, you will find nothing. And you will see that this world is, contrary to your opinions and views, perfect in itself. Perfect. But of course we can't see it perfect because we expect it to be this or be that. Just like our solar system is perfect in itself. It works on its own mechanism. And once we understand the mechanism of ourselves, we find everything is in perfect harmony. It doesn't mean then, in the terms of good or bad. So, short digression. Coming back. So what is happening when we go into the state of Upachara Samadhi? Now, we're going to continue on our Buddha or we continue on our breath until the mind really focuses it. You see it. It's a movement of the mind. And it goes. And then just let it go. If it doesn't go, it's... then you have to be patient. Until the mind concentrated and falls into the chitta. And once it falls into the chitta, everything disappears. Everything of the conventional reality that we know disappears. It just completely disappears. The first thing that disappears is our body. You can feel it, when you go slowly and you can feel it. The lower part of the body suddenly it disappears and then, the more disappears and suddenly everything is gone. The sound is gone. Everything, that is outside of this world is gone. The whole world disappears to exist. And then you are in that what is called the chitta, or the knowingness. It's a very clear, crass knowingness, but not knowing an object, because that is conventional reality, but just knowing. Knowing in itself. The true nature of the chitta. So if you really want to know what it's all about, I invite you, please. Put some effort and determination in and go there for yourself, to see for yourself, to experience for yourself. Tanacha Mahaboa, my venerable teaching master, tells this is the preview of Nibbana. It's a preview because Nibbana is a state of being. The moment you get out of Appana, what is called Appana Samadhi, you're back in the world. And you face all the problems, as before. But for the time being, in there, everything has disappeared. It is just like a preview of a movie. You don't see the whole movie. You don't understand the whole movie. You just see a preview. And that is the same thing with a preview of Nibbana. And all what it takes is to sit down or to do the walking meditation and focus on one point. Isn't that simple? That's all what it takes to get there. Amazingly simple. So simple that we don't believe it. So simple that we can't do it. Interesting. So what is keeping us constantly away from this point of concentration? It's nothing else than the power of avijja, the power that rules this universe. And specifically us. Avijja. Translation of avijja: wanting to know, but not being able to know. Wanting to understand, but not being able to understand. Because it can only understand within the conventional reality. Everything else it cannot understand. And the citta is not conventional reality. The citta has never been born, and the citta will never die. So how can avijja ever understand what is beyond its own grasp? It cannot. That's why it's called avijja. And that is the power over this universe. Whatever is conventional is under the power of avijja. Like Lord Buddha teaches us in in the dependent origination. Yeah. In the dependent origination, avijja pataya sankhara. Avijja is the condition for all phenomena to arise. And the phenomena is the condition for consciousness to arise. And consciousness is the condition for form to arise. Nama rupa, for form and meaning. In other words, labels and other meaning to arise. And form and name, is the condition for feeling to arise. That's how it works. So avijja is in the beginning. It makes a mess out of us, and it makes a mess out of this universe. So, as long as we don't tackle avijja within our own heart, we're still under the influence of avijja. Okay. We're still the slave of avijja, in other words. So if you want to get free, you have to fight against this avijja. And the first battle is the battle, to get concentrated and to have a buddhi of nibbana. To get into the deep state of samadhi. Or, I would be very happy, if you just get in upachara samadhi. You would be happy, you would be smiling. I would see it, if you would have gone there. You would be relaxed for the first time in your life. Huh? And that is possible for every one of us who sits here. All what it takes is just a little bit of determination and effort. Not to let the mind wander off the object. That's all what it takes. So. And now with this, I close the talk today. How long are you going to stay here?
2 days. Today is the second day.
How much?
Returning tomorrow.
You leave tomorrow. Okay. Let's see how many English speaking are still there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. What am I going to do with you? Shall we have a meeting on Friday? Let's see, let's try it out this week, if I can make it. Because tomorrow there will be a meeting in German. And Friday there will be a meeting in English. That means for me, nearly every day, I have a meeting.
But, I don't care, we can do it in English, I don't know. How about you?
No, German is much better.
She was telling me this.
To hear Dhamma in your own language, it's beyond description. It's so clear. English, of course, we're perfect. It's my second mother language. Mm. I studied in the States, I finished my master degrees in the States, so it is really a second nature. But it's still not as clear in craft, When you read, for instance, Life of Inequality in English and in German, it's a completely different world. People didn't like it. Germans didn't like it, because it was so offending. But if it's English, it's, the offending parts, all, triple by. But of course, for English speaking, it is different. So that's why it's much better, to have it in your own language. So tomorrow we have a meeting in German, and then on Friday a meeting in English, and then we see on. So, everything is clear, the job is so easy, just do it. Go ahead and do it. All what keeps us in our way is the kilesas. The kilesas, the fangs of avijja. Are just the soldiers, the foot soldiers of avijja. Sends out for us to disturb us. Actually, I remember somebody told me a nice joke about probably in the 8th or 9th century Christian. One of the monks, Christian monk was in the monastery, and then the next day he went to this abbot, and then he said to the abbot, "Oh, yesterday the devil was tempting me." And the abbot said, "Don't worry, the devil. You are not so advanced that the devil comes to see you. It's the foot soldiers." I mean, the devil, just knows, who's to take. The devil comes to the Lord Buddha or comes to Arahants, but he doesn't come to us. I mean, if he is not threatened, if any of his power is not threatened, he will not come to see us. I mean, what we are working with are just the soldiers, the foot workers. And in the beginning, the foot workers, are just, mercenaries. I mean, you just scare them off, and they won't come again. The next type of soldiers you meet are the regular army. Yeah? Okay. These ones you can't scare off so easily. I mean, you have to battle them. And then, once they are gone, then the elite soldiers are gone. I mean, they know the battle very well. I mean, so that will be a long and very, very difficult fight. In the end, you have the master of deception, Avijja himself, who guides all these armies and who guides all these soldiers in the background. Like just every general, the general is not in the front of the battle. I mean, he draws all the strings. He tells his foot soldier, attack him from this side, give him a little bit of lust, give him some sense desire. Or, give him some hate, And if it works, or give him some pain, If it works, why should he go out, for himself, No need. Yeah. Any questions?
Did you bring the receiving cloth today?